How you doing, Attorney Best?
Thank you, Nate. You can bring it here. Move it here. Yeah, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Town of Forest Heights closed session meeting. Today's date is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, and the time is now 7:39, and this meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Bronson, Councilmember Kennedy II, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Noble,
Here.
Mayor Lilly.
Present. All right, we have a quorum.
You have a quorum.
All right, next I move that we approve tonight's agenda for the closed session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any ayes? Are there any opposed? I didn't hear any ayes.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, at this time, I move that we close this meeting in order to consult with counsel. And this is under General Provisions Article subsection 3-305. And the purpose is to, under item number 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And we're closing the meeting to discuss this topic, and it is to seek advice on pending litigation. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we go into closed session to discuss under the general provisions of Article subsection 3-305, reason number 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And the reason is to seek advice on pending litigation. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy II, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lily,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, the meeting will now close. Members of the public are more than welcome to wait online until the council comes out of closed session. And our general meeting for tonight will begin at 8 p.m. after the session is reopened. This meeting is now closed. All right, is our video on? There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the closed session meeting of the Town of Forest Heights. Today's date, May 15th, 2024. And the time is now 8:08. All right, at 7:42, council went into closed session. The purpose falls under subsection 3-305. And this is under the general provisions of article subsection 3-305. The reason for closing the session was to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And the reasons for the closed session discussion of topic were to seek advice on pending litigation. Members who voted to close and meet in the session were Council President McDonald, Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Noble, and Mayor Lilly. Myself, persons attending the closed session were Council President McDonald, Councilmember Brownson, Councilmember Noble, Mayor Lilly, myself, Mr. Best Town Attorney, and Chief Reese. The topics actually discussed were seeking advice on pending litigation, and there were no actions taken in the closed session. At this time, we will now have public period. If there's anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time, you'll have 2 minutes to do so. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in the audience or online at this time? All right, hearing none, public period is now closed. And the time is now 8:09 and this closed session is adjourned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 15th, 2024 town meeting for the Town of Forest Heights. The time is now 8:10 and this meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Here.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Bronson,
Brownson is here.
Councilmember Kennedy II, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Noble,
Here.
Mayor Lilly.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we will now have a moment of silence. All right, this time we'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty or justice for all. Please be seated. All right, at this time, we will now have approval of the agenda. I move that we approve tonight's agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, next, move that we accept the minutes from April 1st, 2024 as amended. Councilmember Brownson.
We just got them, so I haven't had a chance to read them,
Okay.
so I can't accept them.
Well, I guess I will move that let's amend the agenda and we'll revisit the minutes and consider adopting at the next meeting. I move that we amend the agenda for this evening striking the minutes for April 1st, 2024. And it has been moved and seconded that we amend the agenda for this evening, striking the minutes from April 1st, 2024. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. So we'll strike these and we will have them reintroduced for the next meeting under the agenda for Monday, June the 3rd, 2024. All right, give me just a moment, just making a note. Okay, next we will have presentation of certificates to some members from the committee for the 75th anniversary. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, in the month of April, we had an entire weekend, April 19th, 20th, and 21st, where we celebrated the town's 75th anniversary. We had an Incorporation Day ceremony on April 19th outside, which is the town's actual birthday. On Saturday, April 20th, we had a reunion here in the municipal building. And on April 21st, we had a 75th anniversary gala at Harborside Hotel. There were 8 members of our committee who helped to make that entire weekend possible, did a lot of planning over 12 weeks. And today we're going to recognize a couple of them for their dedication, hard work, and service to the residents of the town of Forest Heights. And first we will have Miss Monica Lawson. Let's give her a hand. Ms. Monica Lawson served as the committee lead for the Incorporation Day on Friday, April 19th, and she also served as the committee lead for the reunion ceremony on Saturday, April 20th, and she was co-lead for the gala on Sunday, April 21st. So, Ms. Lawson, thank you for all the hard work you put into the town of Forest Heights 75th anniversary. You are a true asset to the team, and your loyal, dedicated service has played an integral role in our success. This is in recognition of your outstanding contribution and unparalleled dedication. Congratulations and thank you very much. Next, we will have the youngest member of our committee. This was Miss Leah Swindler. Please come up. Let's give Miss Leah Swindler a hand. So Leah was on the committee for the gala on Sunday, April 21st. And if you were able to attend, she actually introduced our MCs, which was a new thing for her taking on public speaking. She was bringing plenty of fresh ideas. And interestingly enough, she was born and raised in the town of Forest Heights. So she's one of our own. And we were happy to have you contribute both with your energy and with your ideas to celebrate the town's 75th. So on behalf of the town, we thank you for your hard work for the 75th anniversary. You are a true asset to the team, and your loyal and dedicated service has played an integral role in our success. This is in recognition of outstanding contribution and your unparalleled dedication. You're welcome. Congratulations, and thank you again. We also had some other members who were part of our committee, Councilmember Jonathan Kennedy II, Councilmember Tanya Hines, Councilmember Shanice Little, Miss Darlene Cooney, who served as our budget czar. She oversaw the donations that we received and oversaw budgets for all three events. And Miss Sherlita Hawkins, our town clerk, who cannot be forgotten. She helped set up many meetings and to help us raise as much as we did on behalf of the residents in the town. And collectively, the committee helped us to think about the needs of residents, all shapes, size, ages, backgrounds, so that we had a truly inclusive event. So let's just give everyone a hand again. And thank you to the council for your support and for representing the town. We haven't been on the council for 75 years, but your time has been much appreciated and residents appreciated as well. At this time, we will have public period. Is there anyone in the auditorium who wishes to speak during public period, or anyone online who wishes to speak at this time? Okay, we don't have anyone, so public period is now closed. Next, we will move into legislation. And our first item of legislation this evening is ordinance number 03-24. This is an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, amending and adding Article 26, admission and amusement tax of the town ordinance code, thereby creating, defining, and authorizing the levy and collection of a state shared revenue known as the admission and amusement tax for certain entertainment and amusement activities conducted within the town and subject to municipal taxation and generally relating to municipal finance and taxation. This is the second reading of ordinance number 03-24. And I move that we adopt ordinance number 03-24. Discussion. Did you have a question, Council President McDonald? Okay. I'm sorry. Did we get a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 03-24. There's a second from Council Member Noble. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 03-24. Discussion. Okay. I move that we, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald.
Yes.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Brownson.
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy II. Councilmember Hines. Councilmember Noble.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I need to vote.
Oh,
as
I'm
well.
sorry, Mayor Lilly.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Could you call the vote count as well, please?
Sure, 4 yeses,
And we have 3
3
absent.
absences.
Thank you. Next, we will have ordinance number 06-24. This is an ordinance of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2025 budget and authorize its amendment by resolution. So first, I move that we're not voting on this tonight. We're going to discuss this. So discussion.
What we're gonna discuss. I think that's just.
So just a moment. So I read the title of the ordinance, and now we're going to go into discussion. We're not voting on it today.
I move that we move this resolution to the next meeting to after we have the budget hearing.
Well, we're going to discuss, we received the draft budget. We're going to discuss it tonight, and then we'll have the hearing next week.
Oh, we are gonna discuss the draft tonight?
Yes, it's on the agenda for us to do that.
Huh?
So at this time, we're going to have Mr. Frankenfield to give a brief overview of ordinance 06-24. And we'll have further discussion. Mr. Frankenfield.
Hi, good evening, council members. Hope you're all having a great week. I shared the line item budget by email. I believe it was late last week. The ordinance is in front of you. The ordinance summarizes all the different lines shared in the emailed line item budget. Biggest takeaway from the draft budget in front of you is we didn't need to lay off any staff in drafting the fiscal year 25 budget. We saw a significant decrease in estimates and revenue around the speed camera revenues, and we've been talking about that all fiscal year. And coming up with our projections for fiscal year 25, we vetted it with the vendor, we vetted it against actuals for fiscal year 24 in projecting what 25 will do. I feel pretty confident that we have a good handle around what we can earn as a town in fiscal year 25. I feel like our revenues are very solid. But what you'll see as you look at the ordinance is we go from a budget of 9 million to a budget of 6 million. So in making that, in taking $3 million out of the budget, we had to trim expenses. And if you look at, it's probably the third page where we itemize the expenses, you can see it's pretty consistent across the board when we look at fiscal year 25 appropriations versus fiscal year 24 appropriations. We had to cut from top to bottom to balance our budget. In prior versions of the budget, we talked about selling the property at 5529. We have skipped that proposal. We're balancing the budget by rolling forward about 300,000 from fund balance and the remaining ARPA funds from fiscal year 24. And then we had made some other changes as far as property tax revenues go. We increased the rental rate from 0.53 to 0.60. Same with the commercial tax rate. And we adopted the fiscal year residential rate from last year. So if you remember our conversations in 24, our adopted rate was 0.4654. We collected and abated down to 0.4286. For fiscal year 24, we're implementing the prior fiscal year's property tax rate of 4854. But I'll stop there. Questions?
Councilmember Noble.
Thank you for that summary. And this, I guess, has to do with the ordinance that I've always said that we should have an ordinance prior to an emergency ordinance for the budget. But now I'm going back to we need emergency because because we haven't really had enough time nor had we had any discussion or the residents come and talk about the budget? I thought we were having a hearing today, and I didn't know that we weren't because that was in our package earlier. So we have to allow enough
We
time.
were originally going to do the tax rate hearing tonight, but we didn't because we wanted to make sure we had enough.
Oh.
The state changed the rules for complying with the notice, so the tax rate and the budget hearing will be next.
At the
week.
same time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But and I noticed that we did reduce a lot, but I think it still requires some discussion on the reduction because it could have been reduced maybe other places if we consider how much we're spending on gas, how much we're spending for the electric cars, how much are we spending on other things. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Councilmember Brownson.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions on line by line, so bear with me.
Okay.
On the first page, it has the utility taxes increased based on the FY.
Councilmember Brownson, pull the
I'm
mic
sorry.
so we can hear. Thank you so much.
It has increased based on the FY 24 actuals. Okay, so the actuals was 104. But the increase is 100, is increased to 110. So I'm trying to figure out why you increased it based on the actuals, but you increased it more than the actuals. This is page 1 under the utility taxes for the FY 25 budget.
Yeah. We
Yes.
assumed it.
Can you tell us what is the actual date? Is it actual up to April or is it actual up to May?
It says to April on the report.
So we have a couple of months.
And then under the town trash, it increased trash fee to $338 from $297, but you have the FY budget at $324.
Yep.
So I'm trying to.
Can I respond one by one and then we
Oh,
can?
yeah, that'd be better. Yeah.
Okay, so utility taxes, we assume we're gonna get a little bit of an assessment bump between fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. So if we collected 104 in fiscal year 24, we feel like that assessment bump, we can easily get to 110 in fiscal year 25 to answer your first question. Second question, trash services. So our contract with Good is $295,000 per the expense line. I can give you the expense line, but further down in the budget, we're contracting. It's going to cost the town $295,000 for the Good contract. In addition to that, we bumped it up 10% to account for the town's staff's time in picking up mattresses, other duties as assigned around trash collection. So if you look at fiscal year 24's budget, the town was actually subsidizing the trash pickup. The contract was $295,000. We budgeted for $280,000 in revenue. So we weren't even breaking even as a town for that service. So in fiscal year 25, we added that 10% increase on top of the $295,000 contract to Good.
So this is under revenue. So how are we going to get this? I'm trying to understand how we're going to get this 10% increase.
So we're, tonight we pass it, right? So the town can set its rates. We pass it because, yes, we have a cost in the staff time in going out and picking up mattresses and getting dumpsters and organizing community cleanup. So we're increasing that revenue stream, which equates to going from $297 per household that we're charging in fiscal year 24 to the $338 that we're charging in fiscal year 25. And it's just to recoup the town's costs.
Okay, I understand that, but I'm trying to figure out where the money is coming from. Is it coming from the residents or the state?
The residents. So it's a special line on the tax bill. I believe it's called flat charge when you pull your bill from the county.
Okay, so that'll be in their county taxes.
That's correct.
Okay, gotcha, okay. Can I understand that one? Okay, the next one was, the rental permits. Increased actuals in FY will exceed budget. So is this based on something or is just random?
Is that line 6017?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah, so we projected, we see what we collected through April of 24 and then project out for 25 is what that means.
I mean, is it based on what type of increase or, how do you come up with this number?
Oh, so, we look at what our collections were. So we're at $5,000 year to date
Mm-hmm,
through April. So we assume that we're going to collect 25. We have room to increase the budget to 7,500 for next fiscal year.
okay. And that's what you did for the rest of these items. Okay, so
That's exactly right. Look at what we got this year, year to date, and then project for next fiscal year.
okay. Now, this on page 3, under the Federal HUD Black Hawk Lane, the 850,000. I know that Mr. O'Connor said that it was approved. And he said it'd probably take a while for everything to come down. So at what point would we be able to draw down that money? Will it be in fiscal year 25?
I assume, Mr. O'Connor, can you chime in on timing there?
Yes, so FY 25, it's already awarded, the project will be done in FY 25.
Okay.
Which one was that, Bouncy?
On page 3, the Fed HUD Black Hawk Lane, $850,000. I guess my main question is to make sure that we don't overestimate revenue like we did last year and have a problem.
I agree with you. And just to add context to that thought, so this grant's a wash. We're getting revenue in for 850 and we're spending 850 in expense. So whatever answer we get to in the budget, as long as they equal, we're in a good spot. If it's a 2-year grant, we can say we're going to spend 400 and collect 400 in 25. But it has no net effect on the budget is the gist of what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay, that was on revenue. Then I went to page 5. And I see that we don't have any more bond bill money to use, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I circled that, and then I didn't know what miscellaneous means on page 5. What is
Can you give me
miscellaneous?
a line number, please?
It is 6021.
Oh, I see. Okay. So 6021 is a ton of vendor refunds. So this year
I'm
we
sorry,
collect,
you said repeat that, I'm sorry?
it's vendor refunds.
Oh, vendor refunds, okay.
Yep. So it's 79 grand this year. We got a couple big legit checks for totaled vehicles. We got a refund of settlement fees for the property. I think it's at 5529 Livingston Road, but it's just out of the ordinary operations revenue receipts.
Okay. So that's that, from savings to fund balance. One of the things I had on the expenses of, under the salary for the elected officials under, code 9,000. You have dues, meetings and conferences, $5,000 for 6 people for the whole year. That to me is not reasonable.
Well, I would add that it's a draft budget, and so, council.
Right, so that's why we're discussing it, right? Yeah.
Areas we should make suggestions for changes.
Yeah, so I suggest, I don't know, but see, it shows here that in April up to this month, we only spend $9,000. for dues, fees, and conferences. We already spent in April. We haven't even gone to Ocean City yet, but yet next year you putting in $5,000. That I suggest and would like to see that increase to where it stays the same. Because I think all the council people need conferences and meetings and
Can you give me
education.
that line again, Councilmember?
It is
Russell?
9001-002 on page 7.
It's, yeah, and to clarify, it's 9001-7002.
That's what I said.
Oh, I heard, okay, I just heard 002. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay. But that line item, yes, I think it should at least stay the same, if not increase. That's my comment. I would like to see it to $20,000. Okay, that's one. And then under on page 8, these are just the ones I picked out when I was going through the budget, so it might be others, but on page 8, under 9003-0038 copier, I'm trying to figure out what is the big difference. 24 budget was 17,000. To this date, they spent 15,000, but yet in 25, you're only allowing 9,000. So what's changed there?
Yeah, I'm not saying there was a sophisticated process, but we went top to bottom in the budget and said we have to find savings. So for the copier, yes, we might have to renew the lease. We might have to change the budget amount. But our overarching theory is we had to balance the budget without increasing revenues or drawing more from savings. So I think that's a good flag. I agree with you. I'm not certain we can get out of the copier lease, but we need to set the bar, do things as inexpensive as possible for next year's budget. So I think it's a good flag. I agree with you.
Yeah, because I mean, we do meetings, we do meeting packages and all those things, take copying. So I don't see I can't understand the big decrease. I think that need to be looked at again. And the same thing with the web service. 9003-7040. FY24 was $4,600. So far, we spent in April, we did 3,980. And then you up it to 8,000. Why? What
Yeah, I
caused
agree
this?
I think when we pulled this is our third iteration of this budget. We pulled through December and saw that we had spent 4, but then spending dropped off. So yeah, I agree with you. That number is probably, I don't know. I assume it should be 6. But I can dig into that line and give you feedback. I agree with your comment.
Is this this web page service, is this a contract with someone, or is it the having the site up? Or is it someone managing the website page? What is this?
Let me get an answer to that from Chief Reese. Are you familiar with the web service that we use, Civic Plus?
That is correct.
Okay.
We're probably anticipating that because our website is so out of date, that we're probably going to anticipate a added cost to get a specialist to try to help us. Because right now, Civic Plus is not a regular website because we're a government entity. So we're going to look for somebody to try to help us get in compliant.
You looking for a person or?
With the added service, with Civic Plus. So we're gonna look to see, I would say, we do need an increase. So the fee that you see now, that's just to keep the website open. But to make changes is maybe an added cost.
I hear you. Okay. And that's the same thing with the service contracts, 9003-7042. Why y'all laughing?
I'm not laughing.
Oh.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But, is that the same thing with the service contracts? What is this and why the big jump? 9003742.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll dig into that line and give you feedback. Can I jump in for 1 second? I want to talk about one thing with health insurance, which is probably about the same page that
Okay.
you're all working through.
Please do so, Mr. Frankenfield.
90037128 health insurance.
900, on what page?
It would be up a page from the copier and the web page.
Okay.
Let me know when you get there because I want to talk through.
9003728, right? Health insurance 7128.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so current policy per town's benefit package is the town will pay for all of the employees' life, disability, what I would call the group policy. So life, ADD, disability, but then the town caps health insurance at $750 per employee. So a change that we implemented here in this draft of the budget for your consideration is that we're going to say that the town is no longer going to 100% pay for life and then pay up to $750 for health. The town is going to pay up to $725 for the combination of life and health benefits per employee, and anything in excess of that per the health insurance bill will recoup through payroll deductions. So it's twofold here. The majority of the employees, our recommendation is twofold here. One is to cap the town's contribution to the health costs of the employee, and two, to simplify our process. So this change that we're recommending will affect probably 6 or 7 employees out of the 30 that are on the town's insurance plan. But I just wanted to be very clear about the suggestion that we're making here. So we're going to change policy. The town is going to consolidate life, disability, health, and dental into one budget line. And the town's going to contribute up to $625 per employee per month. And then the remainder will be the responsibility of the employee. So I'll stop there.
Okay. So is this a contract you're seeking or one you have, or you getting a new contract for for benefits for the employees?
So this is based on current contract. The chief has been researching other health insurance contracts, but based on our current health care plan, we see a total for an employee with single coverage, health and life and dental combined. We're seeing $670, $680, $690 per employees. The employees with family plans or the gold health insurance plan, that's where we see the per employee cost being in excess of $1,000. So this doesn't really take any benefits off the table for the majority of the employees, but it does save us a few dollars along with streamlining our process. So that's what the recommendation is here.
There's a question from Council President Connell. Go ahead now. Bronson.
Oh, I haven't finished, but you can go talk about this one, but I haven't. Item, so we can ask.
I'm sorry, I was just trying to make sure that the town's contribution is still capped at 725, or is that different now, Todd?
Right, no, I'm suggesting currently the town's contribution is capped at 750 for health, while the town will pay, I don't know, $100 or so for life, ADD, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're combining all policies and saying the town's contribution per employee is capped at $725 per month.
Got it. Also, I wanted to ask a quick question about the actual amount. So we went from 9186816 to 6109788, which is 3,077,000. You said 3 million.
Where are you?
At on the
What
budget, the budget.
What page?
This is on the
This
budget
is on the
ordinance.
The budget ordinance.
Oh, you talk about the overview, okay. I hadn't finished my,
77,000 somewhere. I'm just asking, 'cause I meant to ask it before, Todd.
You lost me. I'm not following where you're at. Can you restate it?
The budget, the ordinance 0624, 062-4. We went from 9186816 to 6109788. And you
Correct.
said that was $3 million. It's actually 3,077,028. So
I was-
I'm asking, where is the 77,000? Is it accounted for, or you just giving that as a round number? The
Yeah,
3
I
million.
was explaining it as a rough number. You know, we go from a $9 million budget to a $6 million budget. So if that,
Thank you, Council President.
okay, wait, I hadn't finished. You want to talk about the health insurance? Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Noble.
I guess my question, and I guess we could see this later, is if we had, because we think it's 30 employees, I think that number changes all the time. So is it full-time, part-time? And what are the positions, not necessarily the employees that we have here? Because we have to allow for vacancies and things like that. So I guess in an attachment to this, if we could just get a list of positions
yeah.
and the salary, so that way it makes more sense for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble.
Mayor,
Mr. O'Connor.
just a few points of clarity for the mayor and council. We do have bond bills that currently, that will carry into FY 25. One is for the police department building, which I believe is $200,000. And we have rental fees. For Councilmember Brownson's point, the part of the increase is, if you remember, that the mayor and council passed the ordinance increasing the fees for rentals. So that was a fee increase. So that's why you would also see that increase there. And that is being implemented in all the renewals by our code enforcement officer. And then for the health, it's $650 by resolution. And in order to change that benefit package, the mayor and council would likely have to pass a resolution altering the benefits package, not just in the budget. So that was a part of the employee benefit package and was in the handbook, and also a resolution. The chief and I had to research it while we were looking to switch providers, which hopefully, if we get our numbers back, will be a significant savings on reimbursement. So it should be $650. And
Instead of
then,
725.
correct.
That's, to clarify, we're talking about two different things. So 650 for health plus 90 that the town is covering in life, ADD, et cetera. So we're gonna go to 7.25 for all coverages. But yes, thanks, John, for that piece about 650. I was wrong on what the current policy was, but yes.
Yeah, altogether, yeah, the math, when we did it all together for the new, it does obviously get to the numbers Todd was speaking of. But in order for that 650, there's a resolution that would have to be passed to change how that's done, I believe. We could probably get a copy of that resolution as well, if it needs to be altered.
Okay, so what resolution needs to be passed and before the budget is adopted in order to change the contribution, or what does the timing look like that on Mr. Best?
Well,
And is your mic on, sir? Just want to make sure folks can hear you.
actually, the budget ordinance can amend that resolution.
Okay,
As long as it specifically states that and references the resolution. An ordinance can always trump the resolution.
what language do we need to include in order to do that?
Just explain the resolution, what changes to that resolution, when the resolution was enacted or resolved to be passed. Just add that to the side or paragraph. That can be handled after this meeting. The time says that the resolution at 17.
But we haven't accepted this healthcare package, right? This,
Thank you, Mr. Best. Councilmember Bronson.
I see Chief Reese has hand up about something. I'll let it.
Chief
Mike.
Reese?
Yes, sir. So I'm currently with our current package. So the package that we're speaking of, that hasn't been brought forward in front of you yet.
Exactly.
That's the one with legit, but the current package that we're dealing with Benefit Design Group, actually had a meeting yesterday. He's getting back those numbers now. If we are changing something as far as my suggestion would be if we're dealing with health insurance, life and everything like that, my suggestion would be to inform the employees first. Because if something's coming out of their check, especially new employees, since they had a new offer letter. But we also need to convey that change to the numbers for it now. And so I thought I was having giving the numbers to you all at least by the end of this week. But if that's going to change, he's going to have to go back and redo everything. Because some employees, this is for my suggestion. If something's coming out of their check, some employees may elect not to have it. So that would be my suggestion.
And Chief, my response to that is it's only going to be the employees that are currently paying a portion. So, the staff that have the better plan, they're going to see a change, but 75% of the team won't feel anything from this proposed change.
I do understand that. Well, this is from the broker. The broker says obviously with everything going up this year, the current health stuff, the whole health rates for the town, which is right now we use Kaiser for medical, those rates are going up. And so I'm providing him, because obviously we're having some staff changes right now. I'm giving him all the final numbers of May. And when I give him those numbers, those are going to be our rates for FY25. So I guess, if you will, Mayor, if we make that decision, let me get the final rates, because the rates can very well go down or they can very well go up. To give you a complete informed decision, let me just get the final rates from him.
Thank you, Chief, for that. So these will be rates with Kaiser if we end up staying with them and don't transition to a legit base plan.
Correct, because currently what we're speaking of now is right now in the town, if the single rate for just an employee is under the 650. I am currently with the numbers that he had before I told him, hey, we're losing a couple of people. He told me that was going to exceed the 650. So I'm giving him the new rate with the current staff so we can lock those rates in. So that's what it is now. We are currently now on a composite rate, whereas that everybody kind of has the same rate across the board. If we were to go to an age-based rate for the younger employees, they will pay significantly less. The older employees will pay significantly higher. So I'm getting both rates, so I can give it to you to make the informed decision.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Councilmember Noble.
I have a question, Chief, for the broker. Is the broker basing it on employees or is he basing it on positions? Because regardless, if somebody start, I mean, it's like a group. You do group purchase, not so much, because you don't know if someone at 100 may come here or somebody at 20. You know what I mean?
So from the conversation that I had with him, he's basing it on the current employees that we have. Now, that's going to set the rate for that fiscal year. Now, of course, if we, for example, say we give them 25 employees now, and for some reason that we increase it to 30 in the fiscal year, those rates are still locked in. And so right now, I'm giving him, this is probably the best time, when we have less employees, to give him the rates.
So it's like open enrollment
Correct,
where rates will get locked in. People can join in at the current rate. And
correct.
next fiscal year, next, whatever the end of the contract period is, then
Yes, sir.
rates are reassessed.
Yes, sir. And he told me that rates are going up across the board, vision, dental, mental, medical. Well, mental might be big, but all of those rates are going up, but I'm not to divulge it in a personal business, but I told him that we had some staff changes. And because of those staff changes, he said that we may see a significant difference on dropping down. So let me get that number, because that's not the number that he provided me at first.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Mr. O'Connor, if you could.
That rates are actually going up across the board 10 to 15% across the nation for healthcare, just based on a lot of different issues. But with the plan for Legit, what we'll actually see is a little bit of a less cost, and at the end of the year, we'll get a reimbursement from Legit, a check. So we're a healthy plan. The more healthy we are, the more money we get back. So based on some of the calculations, we'd be looking at anywhere from $34,000 to $40,000 in a rebate for a healthy plan. And another thing while you're having this discussion to keep in mind is, and I understand why we're doing it, but when we're looking at no steps, no COLA, no increases in compensation, when you increase the money that you're taking out of the paycheck, you're effectuating a pay decrease. So that's just, I think Chief and I locked eyes on that one when we were looking at the how this was being firmed up. But if you need anything else on it, we're more than happy to provide it.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Yeah, and I would add that, well, as you can see, we're looked at every line and every line is seeing a decrease, every single line, unless it's a line that we don't have the ability to decrease. And so we're trying to do everything we can to find every cent and penny we can to fund the government this year.
Yeah, but back to that.
Councilmember Brownson, did you have something?
Yeah, back to that health insurance plan. And I know, everything is going up and stuff like that. However, it might be a plan where you look at the higher income employees pay more than the lower income employees. Based on, that's there are plans out there like that as well. So I mean, don't get stuck on everybody pay the same thing across the board, because it will hurt the employees that salary is lower. So you might want to look at some other things. I know a lot of organizations are basing it on salary. That's how you pay your health insurance, by the salary that you make. So that might be a consideration for the health plan.
Mr. O'Connor.
Traditionally, a lot of governments are also moving to a 70-30 or a 70-20 or a 70-15 split, where it actually makes it works out a lot better in the plan long term. For now, I don't know how that works out financially. That's Todd's wheelhouse, but those are some other options to explore the cost sharing.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Okay.
Councilmember Brownson.
So can I get back to my line items?
Yes.
So one of the things I was concerned about was under general government, community events, there are no dollars
What's the
there.
number?
90037257. There are no dollars there for community events. Was this moved someplace? Are we just saying that we're not gonna have any?
Was one of the lines that we said we didn't have to do.
I'm sorry?
It was one of the lines, one of the types of expenditures where we said, we don't have to do this. In years past, where the town was a little bit more flush with revenue, it's great. This year, we had to cut everything to get the budget to balance. So we can always allocate funds there, but the other side of the equation is we got to take it out of savings. And that's where it's hard, right? Because as drafted, we're taking 350 out of savings, which is manageable. I forecasted it, but we need to keep an eye on that because our from savings, if we miss anything, if we overspend on anything, if we have an emergency,
Right?
we run out of cash. So that's, yeah, we're fighting for every dollar here. And that was one of the things that we felt like we could cut. I appreciate your comment. We can allocate money there if we need to.
Yeah, it's 90037257 on page 9. My suggestion is that the community, the residents, the citizen pay tax dollars. So you got to give them something for their tax dollar other than overhead. So I would suggest that we put something in there for community events because we got to give the citizens something. You go from feast to famine, basically. You have a $60,000 Forest Heights Day. We had a haunted house, we had this, that, then all of a sudden nothing. We can't do that to our citizens. So I suggest that we put money there for community events.
Do you mind making a suggestion and then we can vet it
I
with
would
everybody?
say that we need something there for something in the summer and something for the holidays. So I would say at least $10,000.
And I think if we look at the events we traditionally have, Foresight Day, which is normally a late summer event, normally happens in August. We have our Harvest Day, which consists of
We can
Haunted
skip that
house
one. We can skip that one. That's,
and
that's.
which consists of Haunted House and Harvest Day and Trunk or Treat. And we always have a conversation about turkeys, and it either ends up being in November or in December. But we know that it's something we always end up talking about doing. So is that 3?
That was kind of full.
But yeah.
So Foresight Day,
Change to September.
we didn't do a resolution, I introduced one, but we didn't pass it. No, we didn't.
But you had the Fireside Day in September, whether you passed the resolution or not.
Right, council can decide to choose whenever so maybe we're favorable of having it then, but it'll be September, October, November, or September, October, December, based on how we've done it in the past.
And I agree that we don't have to have all those events. We can team up with the community because I know the faith-based organization have things doing, Thanksgiving and things like that. So we won't have to have all the events. But I do think we do need community events strictly for the citizens that pay tax dollars here at Forest Heights.
Okay, and so your comment was considered $10,000. Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble.
I think we may be able to incorporate some activities, like, so the trunk or treat, it doesn't have to be trunk or treat or whatever. We could do it all like the Forest Heights Day kind of, and we don't have to, and if we have food trucks, we don't have to have tickets for them, but for the residents, maybe it's hot dogs, maybe it's something simple, but not so extravagant that we can't afford it, but it's a time for community to get together.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Mr. O'Connor.
Chief Reese and I we're just confirming, but the reason I believe that line item is zeroed out is not because we're not going to have events, but because we've allocated in the youth and community programming funding for those particular.
No, it's not there. It's not there.
Not-
Nope.
So
Just one thing, just one second. Council President McDonald.
So,
If you could turn your mic on, just so
Sorry.
people at home can hear you.
thank you. So on that point, Ms. O'Connor, is that the reason too for the, community garden? Cause I don't see anything there either.
No, apparently the chief and I were,
So
Mm-mm.
under community garden, it was finding, it was finding ways to reduce, but again, it's only a proposal. Council can make a decision to fund what absolutely needs to be funded. Yeah.
yeah, the chief and I were incorrect on our understanding. So it's not the youth and community programming funds.
So,
Sorry.
We gotta have our community garden.
we'll see that, you gotta make that recommendation. Put it in. Okay,
So it would either be suggestion if it comes from another line item or it comes from savings to increase the line item to 3,000.
well,
But if look up community garden and just put a note next to there that that's an area to find funds to bring that back.
And one last thing.
Council President, final,
we-
absolutely.
Are we saying too, nothing for employee appreciation? That was
That's
a
correct.
0 too.
yeah, that's,
That's a 0. And again, this is a discussion, so we can amend anything the body agrees on.
okay, so, going on with my line items.
I just wanted to point out too, in this specific line, I'm sorry to cut you off, Councilmember Rousen, but like for community garden, in the notes, it says, does the town wish to fund this line item for FY25? There's several instances where the notes say that. I just wanted to point that out, so council is aware that this is a projection or ways to cut out items. It's not saying the budget is final, but it's also taking into consideration that you may not want to cut there.
Mhm.
This is a priority.
Okay, and then I had another question on the, on page 13, if not, could not think, trying to save some place.
What's that line item?
The Public Safety Center rent, 9007-8050. I'm sorry?
Rent for 2 properties.
It was rent, yeah, rent for 2 properties. Is there any way that can? Is that, yeah, but I just think maybe can we look at reducing that? That'll help with some of the activities we want to fund by reducing expenses. And another one is, my question is 9007-8003, the DOG COPS hiring grant match. What is the match on this? What does that mean?
So the town has to, per the DOJ grant, that I forget, I think DOJ paid for $500,000 and the town was required to match 300 grand worth of its own incurred costs. So we're getting that from public safety, salary, benefits, retirement, and through our grant reporting, we track those things. We don't need it spelled out in the budget as its own specific line. So it's just a line we're not using in next year's budget that was there this year.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember Rousen.
Okay.
You have more?
No.
Okay, thank you for your questions and for bringing up the line for us to consider. That was the purpose of the discussion today.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Noble.
Keeping in line with what Councilwoman Brownson said, for the rent for the public safety, it's rent for 2 properties. So my question is, do we have leases on the properties? And if so, will the town experience any liability getting out of those leases?
So for one of the leases, if I'm speaking correctly, we have a lease at 5410, which is set to go for another year, but the building has changed ownership. And so the lease terms may change. The attorney's been in communication with the owner to find out what will be amenable since it's a new owner. On the other building that we leased, which we have a lease agreement for, that lease began in October of last year, and that's a 3-year lease, if I'm not mistaken, which would leave us with two years and some change on that lease. The number that's here, now I'm asking a question, this is to staff. The number that's in the budget for this year is assuming that those rent payments continue. Is this also including the mortgage payments for the lot at 5529, the 74,400 for the year?
We split up the mortgage payments down to debt service this
Okay.
year, so it spells it out better.
Okay.
I have a question.
Thank you. There's a question from Council President McDonald.
Please help me understand. PSD PAL program, 50,000.
The chief has been successful in getting grants from, I believe it's the state and the county, for the PAL program. So that's grant funding that we're going to have left. I believe they gave us 76,000 over the last 2 months. That carries into next year. But Chief, please explain any of the details there that I'm missing.
Yes, that's the grant that we received from Councilman Ed Barrow's office for the POW program.
Well, one more question. So
Speak into the mic for me, Council President.
for the youth coordinator, we had 22,699. And it was, oh no, that was a decrease. So the budget was 51,770, 51,770 to 44,500.
Yeah, so in calculating what we pay the youth coordinator, I just felt like we overestimated in the fiscal year 24 budget. It's not that we're changing his pay rate, it's just a calculation difference.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Councilmember Noble.
Yes, on the K-9 expense, do we still have some four-legged officers?
Yes, we have two.
Two, okay. Because I see the budget for 24 was 15,000 and we're over like 6,000 and for FY 25 is 20.
It was due to at the beginning of the fiscal year, we had the services for the dog. That was the reason why. We had to pay the fee and everything. That was it. We're not projecting that anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 06-24? Councilmember Noble.
Communication expense. And that was, I believe, communication expense. Oh, I lost it. That was early on. On page 7, and under the council, it's 25 budget is 8,000, but the mayor is 0. And FY 24, it was 2,000 for the council and 1,400. So what is the communication expense, I guess?
I saw an invoice, and Chief, remind me of the vendor. Is it Board Docs that I saw an invoice come through for?
Page 7, 90017370. Oh, you did not. Oh, Board Docs. Do we? So we won't be using it.
Yes, we're gonna have another training.
I'm sorry,
We're gonna have another series of trainings for council.
but there's no money there for 2025.
Well, yeah. Oh, this is just for board doc.
You talking about communication expense 70027370? Yes, the money in there, I'm projected for 2025. That's why I said we got rid of it.
What's the number again?
9002-7370.
9001.
Oh, 001. That's under the mayor, okay,
Yeah, the mayor's two, well, the mayor has 0,
right.
but the council has 8,000.
Oh, okay, right. So the council will be using it and the mayor won't.
Well, I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
There's one charge for it.
You can make it a service expense. For the government. It does.
So everybody uses it, right?
Yes, that,
Everyone will use it, yes,
Mhm.
including community, yes.
and Mayor, I do want to emphasize, so the reason why maybe the copier went down, because obviously with board docs will be, it's electronic. So you wouldn't have a actual packet in front of you, so the cost will go down. So that's the increase of the copier, is because we print so many copies. So we were anticipating that the mayor and council would use the system and we wouldn't have to make so many packages going out, so.
But
Well, with that assumption, we'll need to, this is not for Chief Reese, but this is just in general, schedule the trainings. It's one of the action items for next month to get the trainings scheduled, so we can have council all have a chance to get familiar with the system. Council President McCollum.
So for council, town council, we went from 80,000 to 56,000? Is that because
Is the total cost, this is the total.
9001 town council?
yeah, that's because, yeah.
That's
it cut
correct.
out.
And that is because what?
It cut out service expenses from 30,000 to 75.
Oh, the
Yeah.
service commitment.
Mhm.
Got it.
And the conferences was reduced from 20,000 to
That's the
15,000.
service expense.
Yeah. And that's what we said we need to change.
Yep. We really weren't using that. Okay, thank you.
And is there a recommendation for the changes there? So we wanna get to a consensus tonight, so.
I already made one recommendation for that 9001-7002 for dues, meetings and conferences for the council. Remember I made that earlier?
And
Yes,
was it
have that
stay
changed.
consistent?
I'm sorry?
Was it 20,000? Stay
Yes,
consistent?
yes.
Okay.
Only thing that sticks out in my mind, I'm sorry, no, wait,
Council President.
thank you. Only thing sticks out in my mind is the community garden. And anything that was being used for service can be used somewhere else. Service expenses,
For whom? The council?
yes.
Well, it looked like they spent 19,000 of it, whatever it was. So it can't. Exactly.
Yes, exactly, stuff like that.
Well, you all, I eat.
Snacks and.
Thank you. And Todd, I've also been taking, and for council, been taking notes on the items that we have pulled up for discussion for reconsideration to fund or defund or to get further clarification tonight digitally. So this is something that can be sent out. Multiple people can see the notes. Thank you for your questions and suggestions. Council, Mr. O'Connor, excuse me.
Positive. One thing I think that is not captured in here is the grants that I have written, which are not awarded. And that's particularly because we don't have the award letter. However, they'll come as soon as FY 25 starts in July. Now there's $479,000 worth of grants that'll help subsidize the police department. So keep in mind, and I think Todd kept this in mind when he was building the budget, is we're gonna get a decent amount of that money, and we'll have to do a budget amendment when that comes in. And then the expenses that are offset within the police department can then be allocated in other places if necessary. So just keep in mind, we do have that grant money coming in. So when you're talking about community service and that line item, those things can be moved around with a budget amendment as well when we get the that grant money in to offset the expenses of the police department. So I just wanted to make sure the council knew that money's coming, and however you handle it, you do.
Yeah, but we can't spend it till we get it, and we do want to make sure we have these things in the budget in case we don't get it.
That is a very fair point,
Optimistic.
Council.
Yeah, but.
That's a fair point, Councilmember Brunson.
Not-
The other thing that's not factored in here is, will come in comment later. I'm not gonna mention that now. So this is, it's not necessarily budget related, it's just project related. But we wanted to bring the budget before council with the ordinance and to talk through these items because it'll help us when we get to the actual hearing to have a better understanding what changes have been made, why, where we have some flexibility, and also to just communicate to the community. We saw a significant decrease in revenue. ARPA's done, and we had some of our sources that generally provide revenue have changed, or we got a better assessment of where we really are financially. We completed one of the audits. We've got 2 more audits budgeted in. And so we're getting a better picture of what our revenue actually is. And we're making a very conservative estimate for revenue since we saw that last year we overestimated and it caused us to have to make a lot of adjustments to catch up. So thank you for your comments and consideration. Council President, do you have something to add?
To your point, I guess when we do have the discussion with the community, it might be helpful to talk or share a little bit about the projects that we have budgeted for fiscal year 25 that affects the community at large within each, within the wards. I think
Yes,
that might be helpful, just to have some talking points or something
Yes.
to that effect. Thank you.
that's a very positive suggestion. In fact, this fiscal year, we did a lot of work on this side of town. We paved MODOC, portions of MODOC, we fixed stormwater at Alden Way, we fixed stormwater on Arapahoe, we paved a lot of portions of it, installed parks at the MODOC Lane property. We did the passive park at the end of Arapahoe Terrace. And so next year, we have $850,000, which is going to go towards Black Hawk Lane, which is on the other side of town and one of the streets that has been neglected and had stormwater issues for many years. We also have conversations around getting funding for Cree Drive. We have a $550,000 bond. We have $550,000 in grant funds through the NED program from DHCD to fund repairs on Cree Drive and Seneca. So that's the other side focus. We can definitely tell the story to residents that we did projects on this side of town last year. We're going to focus on and have grant funds, which won't come out of the town's coffers, to do projects on the other side of town. We'll continue to do day to day. We'll just have to scale back some of the other activities we normally do, but we'll have a very robust summer program through our PAL grants, including recreation and partnering with some very well-respected nonprofits that have sent their annual report, which we'll send out to council. So great comments, Council President. And we've been able to capture feedback tonight in a document that will help us to make adjustments and hopefully adopt a budget, not as an emergency. Hopefully we can adopt this year as a regular ordinance, get our rates out, let it go into effect, and start planning in June for what we're going to do in FY25, as opposed to having to wait to the last minute to do the budget. And with that, we'll move on to the next item under legislation. But thank you, staff and council, for your comments, for helping us shape how we'll set our financial priorities for next fiscal year.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Best.
Ordinance number 6.4, section 2 on page 407, the classification of property is entitled rented residential real property will be changed. So in other words, this ordinance will be amended to substitute not approved for homestead tax credit, non-principal residence owner. That was changed by ordinance a few months ago. So that was just erroneously written in there as rented residential property. It's now called not approved for homestead tax credit. Wow.
Okay, so I see. So interesting. Which page is that on, Mr. Best, for councils?
For set.
And Mr. Best, will you turn on your mic? I didn't hear the term to use.
Again, rented residential real properties in section 2, page 4 of 7. As one of the classes of property. It was changed by ordinance a few months ago. It's now known as not approved for homestead tax credit. Also known as non-principal residence development. So that'll be changed for next meeting.
Okay.
And so when the rates that we send and the rate sheet we send to the county for this year and the state and everyone else, and also in any other documentation we're sending out to external sources, it needs to be changed to not.
Not for the county this year, but for FY
26.
24, and
Mhm.
still called that, but for FY 25, it's called not approved for homestead tax credit.
Well, my reason for asking that is because we're going to have to send the rates for FY 25 at the end of this month. And so on that rate sheet, it will need to be updated, correct?
True.
Okay. Councilmember Noble.
Can we send it prior to passing this ordinance? No.
No, we're gonna have the
So-
rate hearing next Wednesday and the budget hearing next Wednesday. We need to set the rates at that meeting next Wednesday because the deadline to give the rates to the county is the 24th of May of next. So it's the end of next week. So a couple days after that meeting, we'll need to send the rates to the county so they have them to put into their calculations
So
for
we'll have to
sending
vote on
for
this.
billing.
I mean, then.
We'll need to set the rate at the meeting next
Right.
week. We'll have the budget, which if we have all the changes, we can also vote on that
Mhm.
that night as well.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best, for bringing up the note that we need to make that change. Todd, I know you're listening. So for the rate sheet we prepare for FY 25, which is separate from the one that we're going to send for commercial and rented residential for FY 24, we'll need to make the name change as well.
Thank you, Todd.
All right. And with that, we'll move to the next item on the agenda. And that is annexation resolution, my apology, number 01-24. And this is an annexation plan, resolution 01-24 for the annexation of certain tax exempt real property located generally east of the present corporate limits of the town of Forest Heights, including land owned by Prince George's County, formerly known as the Thomas Addison Elementary School, and reopened in 2016 as the MGM National Harbor Employment Center, located at and fronting upon 7100 Oxon Hill Road in Oxon Hill, Maryland, 20745, comprising one parcel, 7.31 acres as depicted on tax map 104, grid F2 as parcel 17, tax district and account number 12-1203561 into the corporate territory of the town of Forest Heights. Now, we're not voting on this item tonight. This is simply for discussion. So Mr. O'Connor, Ways and Means and Finance Committee has asked staff to identify opportunities for the town to bring in or annex in new properties that would generate potential revenue, both now or in the future. Can you give a general overview of resolution 01-24, annexation resolution 01-24, sir?
Yes, Mayor. So what this is the, as I said in the very beginning, it's the Thomas Addison Elementary School located basically adjacent to Tangier. It is a tax exempt property. It's considered commercial tax exempt because it's still owned by Prince George's County. However, it has an applicable commercial use as MGM's employment center is located there. Because there is a business that is located there, they would be responsible for business licenses to the town, as well as any business personal property tax or inventory tax that they would have there on intangible assets. There is no property tax that the town would be collecting due to being tax exempt. However, in the future, if it does ever change hands, then it would become a taxable property should MGM actually purchase it. So we'll be looking for the business personal property taxes that come from that particular location. There's no other true expenses that the town would incur from this particular annexation. There's 0 to no calls for service for law enforcement purposes. Department of Public Works would not pick up any additional duties at the location. The county is responsible for the maintenance of the land and the particular roadways that service it as well. So we'll see some tax revenue and licensing revenue from this particular property.
Let me add that the primary law enforcement organization would be Prince George's County because the land is owned by Prince George's County. And our mutual aid agreements require that, even though it's in the corporate limits, because the land is owned by the county. Statute requires that the county police be the primary law enforcement agency for the county property.
I have a question.
Yes, discussion, Councilmember Brunson.
So the police department will not have to patrol that area or go up and down the road in that area or do anything in that area?
They'll have concurrent jurisdiction with Prince George's County Police at that location, so they can patrol the area. They have the ability, the statutory ability to go ahead and effectuate arrests, traffic stops, general law enforcement services at that location. However, just like any of the schools that we have in the jurisdiction, Prince George's County is the primary law enforcement agency there. So they would be the ones that would actually be dispatched, likely to handle any calls for service that are at that location because it is a county-owned property. Of course, officers from our agency would naturally assist. It's within the jurisdiction. So there would be patrol that takes place, but it's nothing out of the ordinary and not an extra you wouldn't be able to equate it to an expense. Or a tangible expense, I should say.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Is there any other discussion on Resolution 0124? Councilmember Noble?
On annexation period, I noted we've been annexing, and it's nothing that we need to do because we have these memorandum of understandings with the county or whoever. But in some places, if you look from Eastover here, that island section, the grass is taller than, so it's a reflection on the town. So if we're waiting for someone to cut it, we can annex all around here, but if there's no upkeep, then it's a reflection on the care of the town. So the grass is cut on this side, but over here, it's just, what do we do?
Well, there's a couple different avenues with that. One is direct communication with those jurisdictions, or you can have memorandums in place where we would do the maintenance for those particular pieces of property. We went down this road with the State Highway Administration on 210. It was quite the experience dealing with that. I mean, Kevin went through a few MOUs to finally find out that the state just said, give us a permit to block traffic and you can go out and do the maintenance. We won't reimburse you because we're going to continue our maintenance schedule. What it comes down to is whether the mayor and council want to allocate the additional assets to maintain the property, the additional personnel, hours, and equipment. I do believe it is something that needs to be considered in the future as we look to annex these other commercial properties, which is after 210, the extension of 210 down to Kirby Hill. That is the next goal. And we're currently, without getting into full detail on it, we have a pre-annexation agreement that is in the works to solidify a particular commercial piece of real estate that will open up a door for the town to annex several other pieces of significantly tangible commercial real estate neighboring us right here. And at that point, I think you're going to see the tax revenue. I think you're going to see your amusement tax that was passed, and the business personal property tax is going to play a very, very significant role in the annexations. And that's when I think that conversation that you're trying to get at, council member, with the Department of Public Works and Beautification, it becomes very, very relevant to what we're looking at. Not that it's not relevant now, but financially speaking, becomes very relevant as to how we're going to beautify the entrances to our town and pick up the trash and maintain it. And of course, hold the other governments accountable at the same time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. O'Connor. And I'd like to add there that Councilmember Noble, there are some other things we can do. Trying to work on some communication with SHA about keeping areas that we don't have control over beautified and getting them to do a better job to match the intensity of their cleaning and mowing and maintenance in other areas of the state that they don't do here. The brush on the side of 210 and the brush in the middle of 210, it's really disgusting. It's really, really makes us look like a place that's not cared for. And that's not the truth about us. And so I can't go into it right now, but we do have some more ways that we can apply pressure to get results without us having to assume the maintenance, thankfully. So hope to have an update on that in June.
And Mayor, while you at that, can you add the at the exits, because something is covering the yield, the this, the that, and when an accident occurs, you know, people, they can't see.
Yeah, I agree. And I also noticed that if you're coming north on 210, if you come from Oxon Hill Road and you come onto the exit, the sign to get back on 495 to go to Virginia, all the letters are gone. It's almost like someone went and scraped them off. And so they need to come out and do the signage. And so it's a whole conversation about just generally when folks come through there who work for the state and are supposed to be maintaining the state's right of way. Right now, what's happening is total neglect. So, Council President McDonald.
Yes, sir. I had a question for Attorney Best, where it says, whereas the annexation property currently has no known qualified voters or residents currently residing. Can you help me understand that? And that the mayor and council further finds and concludes that there are no qualified voters. What is that about?
That's because qualified, because residents in an area proposed to be annexed, as well as people that live in the current corporate limits of the town, can petition to referendum election the annexation resolution. In other words, they can veto or override the governing body's decision to pass the legislation, but you have to have residents that live in the area proposed to be annexed, and there are none. So it's tax exempt property, and because of the case of the town of Forest Heights versus Park and Planning Commission in 2018 that I argued before the Supreme Court of Maryland, that question has been clearly answered by the Supreme Court, that the tax exempt property owner doesn't have a right to veto a municipal annexation. Also, the fact that there are no qualified voters, there's no one to petition to referendum the annexation resolution. That's what that's about. That's a finding about the law as it applies to people's rights in the area proposed to be annexed.
Reason why I asked, because I was thinking about the residents who do live there that own property.
There's
in
no
that
one that
area.
lives in this. This
So
parcel is an old vacant school that was converted to the MGM Training Center.
Okay. Oh, okay.
if you've ever
I-
gone down, it's around the traffic circle. You know where it is?
Yes, I
Okay.
remember now.
On
Okay.
but behind Tanger. Yeah.
Behind Tanger.
Behind Tanger. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Council Member Noble. Thank you, Council President McDonald.
I'm staying on Oxon Hill. Did we look at Crescent Ridge? for annexation? Huh? It's a daycare, senior daycare.
Yeah, then
It's
moving down that way is.
It's across from the training center.
Yeah, it's about moving down that way as a part of, I think we're on the 14th annexation. I think we're looking at the 16th or 17th annexation where that would come about. There's some pieces of the roadway on Livingston and Oxon Hill Road that we need to kind of tie up, that CPJ needs to do for us. And once we get done with that, we'll be able to continue on down.
Councilmember Noble.
On annexation and for the residents, is it any way that we can create some kind of annexation 1, 2, 3, so people can see how the town is growing?
So we have that, and in fact, CPJ is a part of this, CPJ and Associates, who does all the surveying work for us, the meets and bounds. They are wrapping up the new updated map, which we'll be able to get a larger one and hope maybe get on the website based on how we can do it. But it has they have different colors for each annexation that we do, and the legend, it shows the first, the second, the third, the fourth. So we'll get that, and it is one of my goals to get that to mayor and council. But y'all have been so diligent in annexing all these properties that CPJ was not able to actually keep up.
They can't keep up?
I was just trying not to waste the money getting all new maps. So I think after this one and the 210 is when we'll have that new map.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor and Councilmember Noble. All right, next we will move into
Mayor, if you don't mind.
Mr. O'Connor.
If you look right here, in the actual package,
There's an exhibit.
right? That's so it was at the last minute. So I'll get you a larger one. But
Somewhere in the town hall where people come, we can see.
very well.
If they ever show up.
And electronically, we can post on the website so folks who visit there can have an idea of boundaries as they expand. Good idea. All right. Next, we will move into public period. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? I think I see a comment or a question there. I can't read that, but actually I can join the meeting. Actually, I can join.
Mayor, I can read it too. It said also include details about what annexation means and the benefits to the town.
Yeah, what time did that come? Just to make sure. It came at 9:45. Isn't that
That's
correct?
correct. That's correct.
Okay, Mr. O'Connor, could you just share
I got you.
benefits of annexation? Thank you for the question.
So I'll start with what annexation is. The town has its corporate limits that basically establish its jurisdictional boundaries. And that's done through surveying and submitting legislation to the state. And what annexation is bringing additional pieces of property into the jurisdiction or into the corporation of the town. So for instance, if we look at a recent annexation that we did where we expanded, where we did not have, it was 495 and we went all the way down to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we've expanded our jurisdiction to that particular area, or National View, which came in, and now there's going to be some development in that location. So it basically grows the size of the town. The benefits. So there's various different benefits. One is revenue sources to the town, taxes, fees, levies, anything that come along with it. But the biggest part is you also get the grants based on the service population and the citizens that live there through the census population. So the the other part, which is the greatest benefit, is the local government. So when you have the state, the county, and then the local, the most finite form of government that's able to interact with its citizens and provide a level of service that you wouldn't normally get from the county or any other place. So as a part of coming into the jurisdiction, you get the ability to have that level of service, the trash service, the DPW service, your own law enforcement agency versus having to have the county law enforcement agency. So when you look at annexation, look at it as bringing a customer service level that you've never had before, and then as well as the law enforcement services and all those things that you wish you could possibly have right into your home. So it makes it a nice place to live. And I think, for the most part, in Forest Heights specifically, you enjoy one of the lowest crime rates in entire Prince George's County. So I think those are some of the tangible benefits to annexation.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. And yes, generally, what the council's purpose is in annexation now is to have more control over areas that touch us so we can make sure it's maintained properly. And in the future, we're looking to acquire parcels that will help to add to and diversify the town's tax base so that it reduces the residential burden. Right now, residents pay the lion's share of the cost to run the town. If we add more businesses and commercial entities in that have profit and that generate revenue, it opens up the opportunity for the town to run not solely or not rely as much on residents as taxes. So thank you for, I see some other questions up there, but I can't read them. I was going to join virtually.
And the comment was, thanks for explaining. Please include that info when you send out the annexation map. And that's from Camille Meeks Stevens.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
And
I
Mayor,
think there may be, if I can, yes.
I can say is there is a wealth of information on this, and the Maryland Municipal League has a manual that you can go to their website, and it is the guide to annexation, and it shows you everything about annexation. So we could send it out as well, but if you want it in the meantime, the Maryland Municipal League, you can Google it, the guide to annexation, Maryland Municipal League, and you can have the information right now.
Yeah, we'll find a way to disseminate some information about that in the future. Thank you. I think there's one other comment at the very top. Can you see that one, Todd?
Yeah, it says, congratulations and thank you to all who coordinated the fabulous gala. How much money did the town raise?
Well, you're welcome. I think Ms. Stevens actually joined us at the gala in person. The town raised about $37,000 in cash. We had a $2,500 in-kind donation for the programs, and we raised approximately $4,200 in ticket sales. So total amount was over $40,000. All right. If there's no other public comment at this time, public period is now closed. Thank you, Ms. Stevens, for your comments, questions, and your feedback. Next, we will have council member mayor reports, and we'll begin with Ward 1, Council President McDonald.
I don't have a lot to report actually, other than just trying to close out our application by the end of this year for by the end of this month, actually, for the Sustainable Maryland. So we're excited about that. Thank you so much, John and Councilwoman Brownson, for the collaboration, and also Attorney Bess with putting together the ordinance. So we're just excited about the possibilities. We've been getting some feedback from MML, and they've looked at the information that we've uploaded and updated in the system. So we're looking forward to prayerfully being able to showcase all of our efforts when it comes to sustainable Forest Heights in being able to be a part of the community of other sustainable community municipalities rather in the state of Maryland. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, we are having a meeting, our finance committee meeting is coming up on the 4th Saturday of this month.
Yeah, May
And it's
25th.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna be May the 25th. So if you could come out and join us, please do so. Also, our Green Team meeting meets again on the 25th of this month as well. So looking forward to being a part of moving Forest Heights forward in support of our mayor and council. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Next, we will have Ward 2. And you're the only one, Councilmember Brownson.
I guess I go first.
You go first. That's right. We only have one council member from each ward tonight.
In reference to the committee meetings, one resident that can't come out to meetings suggested and wanted to know possibility if these meetings could have a Zoom link to them so it can get more participation.
That's a good idea.
So if we could arrange that for our next committee meetings, maybe we'll get more participation. I just want to make a comment about the newsletter. I didn't get one, but I did see Public Works out there delivering the newsletter on Saturday. And I was confused, why was Public Works out there delivering the newsletter on Saturday? And if, doing overtime, I don't know why that was happening. Anybody know?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Brownson. Chief Reese.
It wasn't on overtime. It was a fee. We have a fee that we deliver the newsletters on, but it wasn't on overtime.
So you were paying Public Works the fee?
So normally we normally pay a fee either to the United States Postal Service or someone to deliver them a flat $100 fee to do it in a timely fashion. So the post office said that it could not do it in a time that we needed, so we had to get it out. So we paid a $100 fee to deliver the newsletter.
And they were in their uniform, so like, what's that about? But other than that,
But you said you didn't get one.
I saw they were in my neighborhood, Seneca. I live on Seneca, so I saw them going from side to side to side. I didn't get one. I don't know what side they went.
You live on Seneca or Mohican?
On Nichols, intersection.
Okay. I know, I just confused because you said Seneca. Okay. I said I was just confused because you said Seneca, but you didn't get one. That's my concern. Okay.
A lot of residents say they don't get them, so it
Okay.
won't be the first time I did get one either, but since I saw them,
Mhm.
I thought I would, but
Okay. Well, this is good information. We want to make sure everyone gets one while we're distributing them physically.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Council President McDonough already talked about the Green Team and how we're moving forward with that and the applications. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Noble, Ward 3. No.
Yes, I'll just go for Ward 3, back to the newsletter. I guess I brought it up at the last meeting that we cannot just put things in the mailbox. And I was assured that the Postal Service was delivering it. And I did check with the Postal Service. There's no permit number on the newsletter, so I don't know how that transaction is happening with the post office. But I did witness, I didn't know it was Public Works at the time, putting it in my mailbox. So if we, the town, is to deliver, then we need to make sure we do not put anything in anyone's mailbox.
Thank you, Councilmember
That's
Noble.
the Ann Rife Snyder resolution. Thank you. And this is Arapahoe Terrace. I'm not sure if I guess where the work was done, that there needs to be some gravel there or something for handicap accessibility, I don't know. Where the work
You
was,
got a, like feedback or something from a resident
Yeah.
asking for it.
yeah, on Arapahoe. They just said Arapahoe, but where was the work done?
It
Is
was done
Arapahoe
in the dead end
Terrace?
of Arapahoe Drive. You drive straight to where you
Yeah.
can't drive, and the
Yeah.
other side of that is Arapahoe Terrace. But what was the request again?
Some gravel or something for handicap accessibility. I don't know. I can follow up with that.
Yeah, let's get some more information so we can find out what the ask was and what we
Yeah.
may need to do.
And on Arapahoe also, I don't know why I have all these Arapahoe requests, but anyway, in front of, there's a bench that looks, I don't want to say into someone's house, but it faces their house. So if someone was to sit there, it facing the person's house. So people are concerned about the location of the bench
Okay. Is it the person that lives there?
and other people too. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Cause it's just, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want a bench across from my house. That's me. And the other thing I had, well, MML, since there's money in the budget, FY24, and I don't know if, because I did send an email, but I didn't get a response to the email, because I just want to know.
The actuals that are displayed don't include the payment for MML for FY24. So those are still in progress. And that was the reason why we decided to send the folks who are going to get their first time certificate, because when we looked at the actuals, we didn't have enough to do the amount that we got back to send everyone we normally send initially was $25,000. And so then we reduced the public works staff, we reduced the town administrator, and we reduced, we kept the members of council who were going to be getting their, finishing the first certificate program, because the cost of the registration went up, the cost of the hotels was a lot more, and there's obviously per diem, but that was the reason for that. But yeah, like I said, the initial quote was $25,000, which obviously we didn't have anything close to that left, but the 9,000 that's still left, or the 11,000 that's 9 or 11,000 still left, it doesn't account for the registration and fees for this year for MML next month.
Right. So did that just include how many council or mayor, or did it include staff as well?
Initially, the 25,000 included staff, but we reduced it down. We pulled everybody out who was not essential and didn't need to go. It wasn't something we wanted to do, but it's just strictly looking at what the costs end up being. And so it was myself, Council President McDonald, and Council Member Little to finish the Academy for Local Excellence Governance, Excellence in Local Governance program. Now I know that is it Councilmember Brownson and yourself, you were pursuing the torchbearers.
Well, I was.
Do you have graduate? Okay, and I know there was supposed to be something offered in Annapolis, but they canceled it. Was that what happened?
Yeah, and she sent the checks back. Yeah.
In Hanover? Okay.
Well, my question is that,
Did that answer your question, Councilmember Noble?
Not really, because I guess my email was very detailed. What's the cost? So, just what are those numbers? Because if you're looking at a budgeted amount, then I want to know what is the cost to send X number of people, the per diem, everything, because initially when the budget was done is to include the whole body, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what. And then it may have been, I think I was trying to do the graduate course in Hanover because so that I didn't need to go to Ocean City. But now that, but at the same time, I think that should have been an open discussion with the body.
Okay.
I have enough.
And I still like the information I requested.
Thank you, Councilmember Noble. We'll get that to you. Councilmember Brownson.
You said there was only 9,000 left. Where, is there a detail of how the 11,000 was already spent? Because, how was the 11,000 from the conferences already spent? And the money for the services and stuff like that, could some of that be moved around? Because in the overall line, budget for the council?
Do we still have Mr. Frankenfield on? Good question.
Yes, yes. I can pull the details while we're talking.
Okay.
What do you say?
He said he can pull up details while we're
Oh.
talking to see.
I thought he was getting some decaf. Okay.
No.
And I think that,
Did you have other?
oh, yes,
Updates?
well, this is not an update, but this was a question. This is budget related. If we could have also the number of vehicles that are assigned per department, electrical, gas, and what does it cost to run those vehicles? Thank you.
I think we were discussing a vehicle. We have a vehicle inventory. May not have the cost to run them, but that's a good addition vehicle.
You can ask a question in reference to that. Okay.
Councilmember, my apologies.
And this is an example, and Public Works Director isn't here, but this morning, the Public Works, the big truck, is in the town. And I don't know if that's diesel fuel, I don't know, but they are picking up a little bit of trash, but at the same time, does it take that big truck to drive, pick up the trash, get back in the truck, drive, or do we park it and maybe do a little foot healthy employee work?
Well, on that note about the truck, we have one of the trucks that's down. Is that correct?
Yes.
One of the lower intensity pickup trucks is down at the moment. Go ahead. Chief.
Yeah, so that is the reason the public works trucks are they're just going down and it's costing a lot to fix them. So right now they had the Silverado is currently at PG County Fleet. They want to way back here, but the transmission went out just due to lack of maintenance. So the only vehicles that they had was the dump truck, is what you're referring to. They need a replacement truck.
Well, drop them over and just drop them off. Well, I want to end, last thing, I want to end on a positive. The Veterans Circle looks very nice. Thank you, thank you. So we must have our Memorial Day service and our Veterans Day in the park. Thank you.
Thank you,
No food.
Councilmember Noble.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question in reference to what Councilwoman Noble was referring to about vehicles. So one of the things I looked at in the budget was the gas buddy expense. So my question was, is every police officer taking a car home? And does that include part-time police officers as well? Because that might be a place where we can really cut expenses.
Yes, Chief. Thank you.
So yes, the police department, they do get a take home, but they actually pay a fee. They pay $75 to $100 if they live inside Maryland to take their home bi-weekly. I'm not sure. So that is back then when we set that fee, that is to offset the cost of gas and the maintenance for the vehicle, so they pay into it.
They pay a fee every week, you say?
Every check comes out of this. It
Oh,
comes out
okay.
of the check.
Okay.
So it's, if you live within 15 miles of the town, you pay 75. If you exceed up to 30 miles from the town, you pay 100 per check. So we pay into.
People that live further than there.
No, well, you can't take a car home if you live. So like if you live in Washington DC, you can't take a car home.
Well, that's only.
So
$5.99.
but some legalese get involved when you take a police car, get an accident in another
Okay.
jurisdiction. So we like for them to stay in Maryland.
Okay, so this fee was imposed starting when?
I started that fee in 2019.
Okay. Is it time for an upgrade since gas is almost $4 a? And then all the maintenance that every time you turn around, a police car is down, need maintenance and stuff like that. So you might want to revisit that. I'm just saying. All right, I just thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Thank you, Chief Reese. All right, so great updates from council. so far this evening. Is it new business or is it related to? Okay, we'll do it in new business. So, as has been mentioned, we have some holidays and things coming up this month. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which we're celebrating. Mental Health Awareness Month is also this month, and later this month there will be a Can We Talk Symposium, which is hosted by Taraji P. Henson and the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, which will be at National Harbor. Council President McDonald and our youth ambassador, along with Mr. Keith Holland, our youth and community coordinator, will be attending that event on the behalf of Foresight. So we're looking forward to that. This also National Police Week, and today is Peace Officers Memorial Day. So we want to give an extra thank you and show gratitude to our Forsyth Police Department officers and everyone in law enforcement who contributes to responding to emergencies and keeping our community safe. And then also, as mentioned, Memorial Day is coming up May 27th at 11 a.m. at the Veterans Circle, which is at Seneca and Woodland Drive. We'll have a brief ceremony commemorating the service of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice serving our country. That'll be, again, May 27th, Monday at 11 a.m. at Veterans Circle. It's going to be a brief ceremony, but we will invite residents, veterans or not, service members or not, to come out and celebrate with us in the newly refreshed and reinvigorated Veterans Circle. Thanks to Public Works for your efforts all around town, not just at the Veterans Circle, but all around town at each of the entrances to Forest Heights, for beautifying it, installing the new signs, mulching, installing plants, and beginning to show the pride that our community feels about where we live. Upcoming events. Actually, this is a past event, my apology. Last week, Council President and I joined Forest Heights Elementary on their Teachers Appreciation Pep Rally last Friday. I took coffee and cupcakes earlier that morning and discovered it's really hard to get the coffee over there. We need a Dunkin' Donuts. I thought we had one that was going to open up nearby, but Mateo's McDonald's right here was kind enough to individually package 35 cups of coffee, and they did it with care. And so we appreciate them for supporting us and recognizing our teachers and educators. Coming up for residents to be aware of, we got our budget hearing and our tax rate hearing. And the tax rate applies to commercial property and rented residential or non-homestead eligible properties. That'll be next Wednesday, May 22nd. And the time, I don't want to state the time incorrectly. It's 6 p.m. It's at 6 p.m. The rate hearing for commercial and non-homestead eligible properties will begin at 6 p.m. The budget hearing will be directly after at 6:30. I'll not be present at the Monday, June 3rd meeting. Council President McDonald will chair the meeting. We'll keep legislation light. So if it's not an emergency, we were not going to be voting on legislation that day. And so Council President will chair. We also are going to have a going away celebration for our town clerk and for Mr. Daryl Green, who will be leaving at the end of the month on Friday, May 24th here at the town hall. So that'll be next Friday, May 24th here at the town hall. We'll put out a time. It's likely going to be a lunchtime affair, so likely be between 12 and 2 p.m. But we're going to say goodbye to our clerk. Many, many years she's worked here and served the town. We want to send her off well and wish her well in retirement or whatever else she decides to pursue, and also say thank you and goodbye to Mr. Daryl Green as well. We received an update from National Park Service regarding the trail repaving, the bridge installation, the tree installation, and generally the upgrades that are going to be happening to the Oxon Hill Cove Trail Farm. The work on the repaving of the trail, the work on the bridge installation piece began April 23rd and is expected to continue and throughout the summer. It's looking like late summer when the bridge installation will be done. The paving will also be happening around that time, looking like that may be completed in early fall to late fall. We're going to invite, and the National Park Service representative is actually going to be present at the June 3rd meeting to give an update to the community. So we'll be looking forward to that. And we will also inform that they will be doing some kind of a ribbon cutting ceremony once the project is done to invite the community out and raise awareness that the bridge is there. The trail will be repaved. There'll be new trees and hopefully new benches so that residents and folks in the area can enjoy it. Last thing related to events is Forest Heights is having a health and awareness fair on Friday, May 17th. It's going to go on all day, so from 9 to 2. Residents, council can feel free to stop through and see some of the activities that they'll be doing. Other thing I wanted to mention was, I know in the last meeting, we passed the resolution for town administrator. Well, obviously we won't be moving forward with that. And so we will be reopening the town administrator requisition using information that's in the charter. And we will have a posting date that is going to be roughly 30 days. And we don't have all the council here, but I wanted to just ask council, are there certain things you're looking for? Because we choose the person and the candidate that we decide to install in this position together, and wanted to collect feedback as we're going to seek who our town administrator will be, if there's anything anyone would like to add. Council Member Noble.
I would like us to consider a professional service for the selection of the town administrator. I know it's an expense, but at the same time, I think it will be easier because I've had people reach out to me who have applied but didn't get an interview, or people who considered but reached out and was told not to, so they wouldn't be considered. So I think we're so close to it that we can't see. So if we had a service, when they send you, they're going to send you those qualified candidates as opposed to our committee.
Any other comment, Council President McDonald?
I had one, and my comment was gonna be to Attorney Best, because we went through actually voting in this individual and it passed. So do we need to officially rescind the decision that the town made, or how does that work?
It was a nullity. The charter trumps it, made it a ultra virus act. So you don't need to overtly pass another piece of legislation to cancel it.
Okay.
I wanted to follow up on Councilwoman Noble's comment that there is an entity that is, I would say, the most qualified search service for municipal administrators in Maryland. And it's an LLC owned by David Deutsch, who is the former and very long-serving town manager of Bowie. And he's in his retirement years, but he's doing this work. So, and maybe MML has some other ideas, but David Deutsch is a good individual to think about engaging, help with this search.
Thank you, Mr. Best and Councilmember Noble. Councilmember Bronson.
My comment would be, you just thinking about what we would like to see. I would like to see that the announcement for the position reflects at least the charter requirements. And then some specific requirements that the town has for that particular person. But if the announcement reflects the charter and has some specifics that the town needs as a town administrator, then those are the things I would like to see. But I like the idea of getting someone that's not biased in their selection processes and know all the individuals beforehand. Somebody that's unbiased that can make a unbiased decision about selection. Because I think the candidates that have been brought to us before have been around the municipalities. It's almost like a circle. Everybody know everybody. And can give good recommendations for the individual, but sometimes they don't necessarily fit the bill, but what this municipality needs.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Council President McDonald.
So if we're gonna consider a source, we need to think about the budget for it.
Well,
So,
great point. And actually, Mr. Best, in the earlier rounds of the search, probably back in January, I did receive some information from Mr. Deutsch's firm. I think it's called Mercer Associates or Mercer Group. And he sent a proposal. However, I just wanted to clarify, is that considered professional service where it can be, the council decides to choose a vendor that is especially well-versed in providing that service, or do we need to go through put out a proposal for others to respond to?
Shooting from the hip on this question, I'm inclined to say that it's a professional service.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Frankenfield, on the question of budget, do we have, or can we pull from funds potentially to fund the professional service firm in the search of town administrator?
Yeah, so there's plenty of room left on the town admin budget line because
Okay.
the position's been empty. So, yeah, I think, if we're saying 20,000, there's 61 there now. And so I think we've got plenty of room to
Okay,
entertain that.
thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. All right, is there any other, I'm skipping, my apologies. We do have some more things to talk about. Thank you, Mr. Frankenfield. And thank you, Councilmember Brownson.
One more question in reference to the professional service. Can we put all our egg, throw some other things in there, like for the other positions that are open?
Potentially, yes, potentially.
Yeah, the clerk and the, yeah, and,
Just, not pay more, but.
right, just, yeah, right.
Well, I don't know if it'll include other positions for the same cost, but you can.
Tell them Attorney Best.
Best.
Right, tell them Attorney Best.
And Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You probably could. I actually worked with Mr. Deutsch. We were on the legit board as board members of the Board of Trustees together for quite a long period. He is amazing at what he does. He has filled in as interim town administrator in many jurisdictions. I never saw any of his proposals, so I don't know how much he charges, but I know he did research for Chevrolet, Mount Rainier,
Cambridge.
He actually filled in up in Western Maryland. So he's done a lot and he's really good at what he does. He focuses more on the executive research versus the clerk. So I don't know that he would do those levels, but and so knowing him and what he does, everything that you're discussing now, he'll likely sit down with the board because that's part of the process. He'll say, what are you looking for in the position? And then that's how he's going to create the actual job announcement from there. We went through this when we were looking for a new director at Legit. So it's really good. It's a process and a half, but when you get through it, you end up with some really solid candidates.
All right. One other note. So as part of our transitioning and having some of our staff leave, but also we had asked the chief to remain the interim town administrator for an extended period of time. And so in discussions with the chief, we decided to bring that time to a close so that he can return to doing one job. However, we do need to continue and move quickly on filling the position for town administrator because we have 90 days to do that. And we've obviously been in a very extended window of interims since February 2023, which we would like to bring to a close. We believe the town will be better for that and be able to provide service and operate both financially and administratively in a more effective manner with a permanent administrator in place. But Chief, we do want to thank you.
Yes.
We want to thank you very much for all you've done. You made an incredible sacrifice to do 2 jobs for more than 6 months. We thank you. Thank your family for understanding. And we're happy to have you still as our police chief. And we hope that we'll have you for a long time. All right. All right. Next we have new business.
Can I just say something can I say something to the chief?
Are we? No, we're in mayor's report.
Oh.
Yes, Councilmember Brownson.
Oh, so I just want to thank the chief for, can I say something to the chief?
Yes,
Okay.
Councilmember Brownson.
I
Yes,
just
just
want-
pull that mic towards you, because you know what happens, people at home, sometimes they can't
Right.
hear us, they tell me.
So Chief, I do want to thank you for what all you've done as an interim town administrator. You've educated me on the police department and your functions and a lot of things. So I appreciate your effort and just want to say thank you for that. And I hope we didn't put too much of a burden on you. But I do want to ask you, did you give this up or are you, is your term up for the 90 days that we had you before?
It's all right.
But it's not up. So, right. So I'm asking you then why now? Why today versus the end of the month?
I can say, well, I'm sorry. To speak candidly, we are now entering the warmer months of in which we know crime is going to increase. I think it's time for me to really focus on the police department, and to make sure that we stay afloat, with everything that's going on right now. I talked to the mayor. The mayor knows that, I initially thought that this, interim, I did not want it at first. I said, but somebody needs to step up. And I thought it was gonna be a very short period of time. But it's exceeded. And I think we'll be fine. I'm still here, but
Until the end of the.
yeah,
Oh, you said today.
yes,
You said today, right?
yes, ma'am.
Right. Just want to say, why not? The end of the month. I'm just, but I do have a suggestion then.
Councilmember Brownson?
I think since you're leaving as the interim town administrator, that we in the next 90 days while we get this professional search, I recommend that John O'Connor step in as interim town administrator.
Well, let me interject really quickly. One of the things that I discussed with Mr. Deutsch is that if we choose to engage his services, he would potentially be able to suggest someone to serve as an interim if the period that the search takes is longer. So let's explore that avenue first, because we have to have someone, if we decide to go through with their service, we have to have someone who is going to want to serve and do 2 jobs again, or do the level of the job.
So my point is, we got to get a resolution and things like that
This
to
is
hire the professional firm. That's
This is
gonna
true.
take time. And if Chief Reese is leaving today, then we have no one.
Well, it doesn't have to take that long.
To get a professional and to get the work and,
No, we've already identified a firm, and we've identified source to pay. So it could be a next meeting, potentially,
Well, no, it's not.
June 3rd. We did the 22nd.
John is doing work as assigned anyway. He's not complaining about it.
That's why I said, it wouldn't jump until a little bit more.
exactly. And I think didn't he do it one time before?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Mhm.
I did. Chief Reese and I.
Mr. O'Connor, if you want to speak candidly, I wasn't going to have you speak, but if you're going to speak.
If you need somebody until you get Mr. Deutsch is acting, I'm more than happy to continue working with Chief Reese. We've been working to cover what needs to be done.
Well, it's, okay, so let's just say this. Chief Reese is out. I know he's out. I want to pull him out. I respect his commitment. What we need as a council is new business. So let's go ahead and move into new business. We close out my report. What we need is for someone to be the chief personnel officer, meaning that when we bring on new staff, they are the person who that person reports to. You can handle HR issues or HR matters and set the tone and help us implement policy and help us to bring the correct flow of information to council about things happening in the town and legislation working its way through. This goes into the item that's on new business. So we get it after we set some deadlines for when we get it, it's reviewed, it's ready. Those kind of things we do need. So
I think
it looks like
I'm-
Mr. Best is writing.
well, so Mr. Best is actually
He's
writing.
writing a resolution to appoint you
to-
as the interim town
No.
administrator.
To approve the end of his term with ITA.
Okay.
But seats, and you have to do that in writing.
Okay.
I thought he was writing the resolution to retain the services of Mr. Deutsch.
Well, put that in as well.
Yeah. Might as well, Attorney Bell. Yes, we can pass it right.
We can pass it right now and
Yeah.
engage
So
Mr.
that's
Deutsch.
that's what I was going to
Deutsch
say.
tomorrow.
If you want to do that, you have the budgeted amount. The treasurer's already done that, and Mr. Best is here, and then you can retain Mr. Deutsch's services. And in the meantime, what I wanted to avoid is having a whole bunch of changes in all the systems from one person to another to get changed again. If this is keeping the ship moving in the right direction until Mr. Deutsch gets here, I have no problem doing that. That's perfectly fine. I think it'll take him a few days.
And I just want to thank council and staff, Mr. Best, Mr. O'Connor, Councilmember Brownson for suggesting. Even you just put it into the atmosphere that it could take a long time, but it doesn't have to. And look at that, we can resolve it all tonight.
Yeah.
This is,
Well, he's writing, I have some stuff that I'm gonna say for new business.
okay. Well, we do have some things on the agenda for new business. Can we cover those first? Okay. So, to help the town and the council to be more efficient, effective, and to have time to prepare, under new business, I'm suggesting that we do event requests for first quarter FY25, so July through October, where we hear from council what you'd like to see. We've already gone through the budget and we see that it's a lot thinner than last year. So I think we addressed that. But if you can send or raise now your requests for events in the first quarter of the year, let's just go through the end of the year through FY25, the end of FY25. Are there any other events? Calendar year. Yes, my apologies.
National Night Out, but are we talking about just?
We're talking about-
Or-
We're talking about town events,
So-
overall events.
Tuesday and August and August.
We're budgeted. We're fine.
Yeah. Well, you don't know that much. So I know that one national night. Forest Heights Day, will it be August or September?
Well, it's already May, so I think it would need to be September to allow us to plan. So maybe we'll keep the same weekend we used last year, September. Let's see what date that falls on this year. September. Last year we did September 16th. So it would be the 14th or 13th? Okay, it could be the 14th or the 21st. Let's do it earlier because we have Harvest Day. So let's give at least a month or a little bit more than a month between Harvest Day and Forest Heights Day. So let's do September 14th.
It's the fall. What's the significance of Harvest?
Well,
It's the fall.
I believe we can leave it on for now and we'll figure
House
out.
and all that stuff.
Right. Those are traditions, things that have happened in Forest Heights for a while.
Or we
Mhm.
can, community, we can engage some of our partners within the town, like Abundant Life, they may be doing something. Or just partner with them, so it's not a great expense to the town.
Okay, so what we're gonna look at now is we'll keep National Night Out, keep Forest Heights Day. Those are all happening no, they're not. National Night is in August, right?
That's,
So National Night Out, Forest Heights Day, Harvest Day. Right. And then we've got Thanksgiving in December.
that's what the churches.
Okay. Yeah, you know what?
Let that be with the
St.
church.
Mark's Amy does a food share program. They maybe can partner with them. They do a lot of food things. And Abundant Life did a meal last year for Thanksgiving, which so great idea. Okay.
And it may we offer the space
Hmm.
to bring. And then we can do a holiday, event.
Okay. Yeah, with the Christmas tree lighting or something along those lines. So we've got National Night Out, Forest Heights Day Harvest, and then Christmas tree lighting.
Let's take it to the calendar.
Can we think about if we're gonna have in time, everything built up for the bike trail stuff? That there be something in coordination with Maryland Parks and Planning in Forest Heights? If there's gonna be some type of groundbreaking for that.
Okay.
For the bridge
Yes.
behind building.
So you want to do, oh, and plus there are gonna be classes that will be teaching kids how to ride at Forest Heights Elementary. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, do you happen to have the proposal?
I do. Can I forward
just-
it or just read
Yeah,
it?
you could forward it. I just need to give a not to exceed price to
Yeah.
Mr. Bell.
Well, the proposal, it's from earlier this year. Man, I'll forward it. You can look at it and see if you think we need to update anything.
No
That
more
service.
than.
Let me see. So
November
it-
11th.
We also have a community garden session coming up too.
So it was compensate Mercer for its services in the amount of $20,000 and expenses not to exceed 4,500 to conduct the town administrator search.
So the two figures again.
$20,000 for the professional services and expenses of up to 4,500. The other thing is that with the professional service search, they also offer, I don't want to call it guarantee, but there is a protection where if the person who's hired leaves within a 2-year period, then they will redo the search at a reduced cost or with only the cost of the expense to conduct the search.
Well, this is an investment in the town.
Okay. I'm gonna forward I'll forward oh, it's older than that. It's actually from October. My gosh, a lot of
Are we
time has
waiting for
passed.
something else that, we still got stuff on the list?
We do.
Okay.
So we did our events. You had a biking event. I'm just trying to figure out where you might like to slot it with. There's a lot of events going on in that time of the year. When do you think you might want to slot it?
So we've identified the space, right? Council Brownson. So we're waiting on a schedule from,
The school?
no, from WABA.
Oh,
And is WABA, do they have funding or is it going to require town funds to run it? To do it?
There's no funds needed.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. So it's not a
In
budget
fact, there are
impact.
opportunities for persons to become instructors. It's an opportunity. No, really, it is. Maybe some of the police department folks could take advantage of it. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So we'll
Yeah,
find
but
dates
this-
for these.
It's not, yes, no.
Well, we know we love to hear that.
It's a partnership with the school and with the town of Forest Heights.
Once you get the dates. you just-
Yeah, we just have to give you the dates, man.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I know we have 3 other members who are not here, but I think we covered hopefully we covered most of the events and we can reach out and just get them to let us know. We need that, okay.
Did you happen to send that proposal, Mayor? I'm just looking to, I want to read it, make sure the portion about acting town administrators in his proposal.
Okay.
I have something to say, but I have to wait. There's several things I have to share in the new business.
So,
Maybe Billy, he has some stuff he got.
okay, so we've got the calendar items for FY 25, the first half. The other items were, I was going to propose we consider a cutoff date for new legislation requests for the following month. So as an example, today's May 15th, which means for items that we're going to consider for June, we should have those items by May 15th so that we can put the agenda out in the last week of May for June's first meeting, gives council time to read through what's in there, and also gives staff time to prepare and make sure that what shows up in the agenda is what should be there, that the resolution is written properly, that we have time to read and digest the minutes and all of those things. So what it would mean going forward is we would operate on a schedule where something that's requested or that gets added or requested to be added after the May 15th date or the 15th of the month will go to the month following. So if something were to get requested May 18th, it would be presented in July as opposed to June. Just a consideration. Is there comment or thought on that?
Yeah, but right now, not having a clerk leaving and not having anybody there, it's kind of hard to even think about that right now. Having to be able to get those things, we don't even have anybody to do them.
We're going to have an interim. We're going to continue to have meetings.
But we still need the clerk does that, some of that stuff too, right?
Yes, we'll continue to have meetings.
I
And-
know we're continuing to have meetings. I'm talking about these deadlines you're proposing.
Well, I think the deadlines could actually be even more helpful with the fact that we'll have transition of staff, because it'll create a flow, and it's a flow that we can go into FY 25 with, operating more efficiently, giving council members like yourself more time to read and digest what comes through. Also, if things get requested or are ready by the 15th, they can always go into committee at the last weekend of the month before they come to the full council.
You're talking about like a draft.
Well, it may be a draft, it may not. It would need to be something that's close to be ready to be put into a final agenda. Yeah.
That's a draft.
Sorry.
So there may be as.
It may be changed, yeah. They'll maybe, right, it'll, right. So it would come to, it gives a chance for items to come to the committees and get shaped and then come to council with some input already. Councilmember Noble?
I like the idea of not scheduling, but allowing enough time for us to read, digest, get our questions together. So, and I would say this, everything doesn't have to be voted on every month. I mean, I think sometimes we rush through so much, then we have to go back. So if we have a process in place, we'll make it a little easier.
One of the other things that's in the budget for FY 25 is strategic planning. And one of the things I think, in having talked to some council members about, is that if we can identify the initiatives of 4 or 5 things that we're going to really work on once we get resident feedback, then we will know more what we should be moving forward with, and we can have a pipeline of items of legislation that will help us meet that objective. So it's one of the things I think that will help us to move forward in a more, we'll know what we're trying to accomplish as a group and as a community. Councilmember Noble.
And I would just say, for the sake of this process, there will be bumps in the road. It may not work accordingly or on that time schedule, but the idea is in place.
Well,
And-
there may be times where something comes up that we can't prevent and it shifts us, but generally
Exactly.
we can help ourselves by instituting a rule that we hold ourselves to. And we start to have an understanding when to expect things and to get more time to process them.
And with that in mind, can we create some process for these minutes? Because when they're so delayed, then it requires more memory processing. Or if they give it, like today, we received April 1st, but we don't have enough time to go over it. Right.
I think there are guidelines for minutes.
Thank you. All right, the other item was, I need to look back at this other item and we'll get to Council President. The other item was under new business. Oh, it's coincides, consider an agenda published deadline by the 25th of the month, which means the last week of the prior month. So they coincide. All right, Council President.
Yeah, I just had a few things. The 75th anniversary, you said we had $25,000 in-kind donations. We collected
2,500. Oh, your
25,000.
pull your mic. No, pull your mic. We had 37,000 donations, and then we had a $2,500 in-kind contribution, meaning the programs were donated, and then we had $4,200 in ticket sales.
What was the total, Mayor Lily?
Let's add it up. This is a rough estimate. We can get you the document that has the exact amount. $43,700.
So we have $43,700. Can you, so what is the breakdown somewhere in the budget? Is it a breakdown somewhere where it's public knowledge or information sharing? I'm just trying to
For
understand.
the donations that came in.
For the $43,700, how did we spend that money?
Oh, sure. We have a document from the committee of how it was spent. Yes, we'll get it to council.
Okay, that'd be
Yes.
good.
Absolutely.
Also,
And the donors, yes, absolutely.
and I had a question, for Chief Reese. How many vacancies do you have, Chief Reese,
In the police
in the
department,
police department?
so currently now we have the code enforcement, but within the new budget, we slashed 6 positions within the police department. So right now, we only have one
One vacancy? Oh,
And one of the things we can consider and talk about considering for this FY25 budget is that if a position becomes vacant, if it's not a required one, that we won't fill it. That may be one way that we're able to keep our costs down. This one thing to consider, Council President?
right. So you had 6 or you had 7, but you took 6 opportunities off of your FTEs. And what was the justification?
So, in the budget, it was told, we needed to, to cut down the budget. So, I slashed all positions that we would be able to slash. And by bare minimum to keep 24-hour policing. So we lost our community officer, we lost some supervisors. So those positions are gone. But right now we just got officers really. It's just bare minimum for the police department right now.
So
as a resignation, right?
Well, yes, there were vacant positions that we were trying to hire, but in the new budget, we right now, we just have officers just to get us by for 24-hour policing, nothing else.
okay. And then
Is that what so how do the cops grant officers, because they're community oriented policing?
They are, so we use this, we try to put those in the schools, but historically, like if you, for example, like just giving remember Officer McCleve?
Yes.
He was designated to go into the schools, make the relationship with the the churches and everything, that position is gone. So right now, everything's been in patrol.
So Todd is probably going to speak up now because the way the COPS grant program works is that if we have to keep people who were hired for COPS grants, but if they leave on their own, how does that work, Todd?
I'm not sure, John. I know that per the contract, we have to keep them. The date I have in my head is October 31 of
We're talking about two different
25.
things.
Okay,
Oh.
1 second, Todd. He said we
So we
two
have
different
we
things.
have our cops, grant officers with the grant paid for the cops. In that grant, they have community oriented duties
Mhm.
as do their day to day. But what I'm speaking of is what, council president, the positions that we got rid of was instead of having like the persons that had the multi duties, we got rid of the community officer. So
Okay.
that's gone.
I
We
see.
got rid of the
I see.
detective, that's gone. And the supervisors that were managing them, they're gone.
I see.
And those were opportunities that you didn't necessarily need to operate.
Operate at for 24-hour policing, yes, ma'am.
Okay, now with some of those, I guess, community outreaches or things that the officers were doing, are there gonna be consideration for them to be doing them with other officers? Because
So
if we've had a relationships, especially with the churches and with some of the programs that we've been successful in, I don't know that we just drop them and then have nothing at all.
So you have to look at it like this. So now, instead of having like that, you had an additional duty. So you still gotta be, so the main duty is patrol, which they have to still manage and go to.
Okay,
But you gotta think about it. We had that dedicated person to where it's that they were here on Saturdays, for the multi-events that we had. They were planning most of our events. So we lost, once we got rid of it, you kind of lose. We're gonna do it, but we're not gonna operate at the same level as we operated last year.
okay,
We're gonna still do it, but not at that level.
I got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that makes sense. And the last thing I wanted to share is with Mr. Darrell Green, who has diligently, as far as I'm concerned, and from my observation of his work as code enforcement supervisor and employee for the town of Forest Heights, is just, I would say, you've just done a phenomenal job. And being both the supervisor and the subordinate at the same time, with all that you have done, all that you have brought us to in terms of making sure that the town residents are knowledgeable of the ordinances and communicating with the residents and making sure that, you know, they're aware of their responsibility as a resident and conforming to what it is that we're trying to create in terms of community in the town of Forest Heights. So I want to thank you, Mr. Green, for everything that you have done to bring a level of professionalism and knowledge to the job as code enforcement officer. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Is there any other new business? Councilmember Noble?
Two. Now that the chief is back chiefing, we will have a public safety committee meeting and we will have the concerns of the residents as well as addressing our new parking ordinance resolution. So that we're going to have more information, feedback. So we'll schedule that
Feedback is
sometimes.
good. Isn't it good
Yeah.
to bring people in and hear what
Yeah.
the residents think? It is.
Yeah, so I think that's how we'll conduct our committee meetings, now that the chief is back full force, so we're ready to go.
Very good.
And the last thing, the the signs that we had posted for the meetings,
Mhm.
it's a little piece of paper that goes across and it's been rained on, so it looks unprofessional. And prior to meetings, if we could, it's something we can always tell the residents.
Yes.
So those things should never be empty. In May, even the schedule for May, we have the hearing, we have that. If it was just something for May with everything on it, every month, since we're planning the calendar out.
Well, I'm going to echo that out into the administrative universe, Mr. O'Connor. We love to have a great way to see meeting advertisements as professional, that is reusable. Since we have to use it twice a month anyway, let's find a way to get something that reflects well on the town, right? It looks good and is usable. The other thing is our social media accounts can have a lot of the information about meetings recur every month, a couple of days before. Trash holidays can be shared proactively on social media, and information that people may not find because they don't always read the newsletter. Some of that stuff can be shared there just as an additional tool to drive information to residents. Thank you for the suggestion, Councilmember Noble. All right, I know we have other new business, which is Mr. Best, please proceed.
Just as a caveat, it's an omnibus type resolution. It's accomplishing a number of things. So bear with me as I go through it. Resolution of the Town of Forest Heights, Resolution 24-24. Whereas Code Enforcement Officer Daryl Green's resignation effective May 31st, 2024 is tendered and accepted by the Mayor and Council. And whereas the interim town administrator, Chief Anthony Reese, requests to end his service as interim town administrator, ITA, and whereas the council wishes to appoint Mr. John O'Connor at the same additional compensation that was provided his predecessor, in addition to his duties as the ARPA fund manager, to succeed Chief Reese as ITA, provided he is proposed to be succeeded by David Deutsch of the Mercer Group to serve as ITA. And whereas the council wishes to retain the services of the Mercer Group Associates and Mr. David Deutsch to conduct a professional search for a permanent town administrator and waive the competitive bidding requirements of the charter by using line item 9004-7005 of the FY24 budget at a cost not to exceed $25,000. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the council hereby approves and adopts the actions as stated in the above recitals and authorize the town staff to carry out the purposes and intentions of this resolution. Approved this 15th day of May, the Town of Forest Heights, Mayor Troy Barrington Lilly.
Thank you, Mr. Best. I move that we adopt Omnibus Resolution 24-24. Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded that we adopt Omnibus Resolution 24-24. Discussion.
Question. So I guess I'm trying to understand, are we just selecting the Mercer Group to do this recruitment without any other consideration for other recruiters or recruitment sources?
That's right. This would be a sole source or a single
Sole source.
procurement of a professional, kind of similar to hiring a lawyer or some other professional to do the work the charter provides for it.
Now, when you say, Attorney Best, this is an omnibus, were you saying that to include all of those items that are in that resolution?
Yeah, meaning
ones that-
omnibus, meaning it's comprehensive. It has a number of some disjointed items, including the accepting of the resignation of the code enforcement officer, the accepting of the resignation of the current ITA, appointing a successor, et cetera. Omnibus.
So you're doing them simultaneously, but they all have to be separated. They don't have to? We don't need to,
Yeah, they're concluded in one resolution.
okay, thank you.
And just one other note, Council President, great question about considering other firms. There were some other services I looked into, just didn't have the track record of filling positions at high performing municipalities. And so that's one of the reasons why I didn't bring those forward for conversation. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Omnibus Resolution 24-24. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
One second. He needs the line item, maybe. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Todd?
Yeah, the comment I would add is, Mr. Best, can we add a memo in there to reduce this line item to keep the budget balanced? So we're appropriating funds, increasing that new line by 25,000, decreasing this line 9004-7001 to fund the new line.
So you're saying moving it over to professional services?
Correct.
Say all that again, please.
Sure. Increase line 9004 7005 25,000. Decrease line 9004 7001 25,000.
That
we're
what was
good.
the second line item?
9004 7001, decrease 25,000.
It's the FY24 budget.
That's correct.
Nine zero zero four. Where is that?
It's in the town administrator budget.
I got it right here.
All right, whereas the town council authorizes an increase to line item 9004-7005, $25,000, and decrease line item 9004-7001, $25,000 of the FY24 budget. Is that right?
No.
That's correct. And council members, we're just taking the unused appropriation from the town administrator salaries to fund this line.
So increase 9004-7005 and decrease 9004-7001.
That's correct.
Correct.
All right, that will be the last whereas clause, so I won't read the whole thing again, but that'll be inserted as the last whereas clause. And I will have this typed up tomorrow and provided to Miss Lisa as a formal resolution tomorrow.
What was that, Mr. Best?
I will have this typed up and forwarded to Miss Lisa tomorrow because she will.
It'll be,
struggle.
Miss Hawkins will still be here. She's not here tonight she had an excused absence.
All right.
Miss White says she won't be taking the resolution, but thank you for serving in the place of the
I'll send
clerk.
it to Charlotta, but she'll have a trouble reading my writing as well. So I'll make sure it's done by typing.
Thank you, Mr. Best.
Sure.
Do we need to reread the resolution with the changes or the
I think not.
additions?
I think not.
Okay, so that's been read into the record. All right. I move that we adopt Omnibus Resolution 24-24 24. Does it need to be as amended or is it just the resolution? We had a previous motion on the ground to adopt, so as amended. Okay, I withdraw my previous motion. I raise a new motion that we adopt Omnibus Resolution 24-24 as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little, Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy II, Councilmember Hines, Councilmember Noble,
Yes.
Mayor Lilly,
Yes.
4 yeses, 3 absences. Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, if there's no other new business, we've got a lot accomplished this evening. And the time is now 11:02 and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, council, and have a good evening.
I still don't